She did an x-ray but didn't find anything. As time passed, I couldn't lift my arm easily, which was chalked up to a slight fracture. But why wouldn't the pain subside? In my gut, I knew it wasn't that simple and kept asking and digging. It was my body, and my instincts told me to find the real answer. I insisted on additional testing and found that the bump was actually a recurrence of my breast cancer. My immediate healing plan was immune-boosting IVs at a clinic in Georgia where they help people deal with illness in a natural way without prescription drugs. I did this along with continuing on a healthy diet that included many of my husband's Amazonian herb formulas, and I also consulted with my oncology team at the Olivia Newton-John Cancer Wellness and Research Centre in Melbourne. With their advice, including taking an anti-estrogenic pill, I felt I was on the right track. I didn't tell my family or anyone else at the time, except for John, of course. There was too much going on with the loss of my sister. When I went back for a second CAT scan, the tumour had reduced and we decided to keep an eye on it. Life went on. 3 years ago, I was playing tennis at my close friend Pat Farah's birthday party. I hadn't played in a while and was out on the court for 3 hours of nonstop fun. I had a blast, sat down for lunch and absolutely couldn't get up afterwards. This could have been because of very sore muscles because I hadn't played in months, but I had trouble even standing and wobbled when I forced myself upright. What followed were months and months of excruciating, sleep-depriving, crying-out-loud pain. Night after night, I hobbled on stage in Las Vegas where I was doing a residency at the famed Flamingo Hotel. The crippling back pain would flare up at the worst times, but would occasionally die down, thank goodness. During a good period, a friend of mine, Joanne, who is a great tennis player, said the magic words, "Coming over, Liv, we'll have a gentle hit." I was on the court for about half an hour before a sciatic attack had me seeing stars. Despite the pain, I refused to cancel any of my shows because of a lifelong discipline instilled in me at the tender age of 15. No matter what, the show must go on. But would I be able to go on? Some nights after the last curtain call, I would limp backstage and gingerly lie down on my dressing room floor, crying in agony. It felt like I was being tortured with hot pokers, which were being stabbed into my side, causing searing pain to jolt up and down my left leg. In my prone position backstage, with tears running through my makeup, I wasn't sure how I'd ever get up. But the show must go on, and it isn't over. I still had to do my fan meet and greet, with all the proceeds going to my Olivia Newton-John Cancer Wellness and Research Centre. I only allowed myself exactly 5 minutes to rest, and then my husband would pull me to my feet. The checklist was as follows. 1, wipe away the tears. 2, fix my face. 3, go back out there and do the meet and greet backstage for the fans. These lovely people had sometimes waited an entire year just to say hello, and I wouldn't let them down. Somehow I held it all together while I smiled and took a few pictures. It was the least I could do for this kind of loyalty. My last show of 2017, before my diagnosis, was a concert for those who served in the military and had been awarded a Purple Heart for their bravery. I had my Live On collaborators and dear friends, Amy Skye and Beth Nielsen Chapman, by my side, and we honoured, amongst others, my father-in-law, Tom, a Purple Heart recipient. It should have been a beautiful night that I'd never forget, and I wouldn't. The pain was cruel, relentless, and agonizing, and I found it almost impossible to walk. This was no longer about just pulling myself up, but facing the fact that I couldn't do it any longer. The next day, John's niece Corinne, an upper cervical and spinal expert, did a thermogram of my whole body at her clinic. It showed some hot spots in my sacral area, and she suggested a seated MRI. This revealed something rather suspicious pressing on the nerves in my sacrum. No one recommended a biopsy because of the sensitivity of the area, but in my heart, I knew something wasn't right. I believe it's crucial to always listen to your body and trust your instincts. I can't say this enough. No one knows your body like you do. Corinne and John insisted that I give this my immediate attention, so I postponed the rest of my tour, which was very difficult for me because of that work ethic I mentioned earlier. But now I had no choice. I drove to the clinic in Georgia for 2 weeks of diagnostics and natural IV therapies. Within a week, my pain level went from a 10 to a 1, which was very encouraging. And then came the news. My oncoblot test was in. It showed breast cancer again. This time it had metastasized into my sacrum. They found a mass. I put out a press release because...
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.